Welcome, everybody, to Memoirs of Successful Women. Today, I have such a treat for you because I have a most amazing guest, Dr. Adama Kalokoh. She is a multi-award winning driving force of change for Sierra Leone, a country who just seriously needs powerhouse women like Dr. Adama. She's committed herself to promoting the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals within her organization, and she is definitely doing her part to reduce poverty in her area. Dr. Adama is the founder of Impact Sierra Leone, an organization that's founded to reduce socioeconomic challenges in Sierra Leone through empowerment and education and building strong partnerships with diaspora community. She also is using her passion for public health and by launching Seeds of Life project, which helps over 250 primary school children to access fruits and vegetables and learn about wellness. She is also going to be an author in an upcoming book called A Woman's Guide to Business Domination, where she's collaborating with myself and beautiful women from around the world. That book is coming out in October this year. Oh my goodness, we're going to have so much to talk about, and I'm super excited, as you can hear. Welcome to my show, Dr. Adama.
Oh, it is an absolute fantabulous pleasure to be on this show. I was thinking about it all day. It was like one of my motivations to get through work because it's always an honor to just be a voice, to network, and to just connect with other people, other women who are just doing their thing to just brighten the world up and just make our voices to be heard, not just for ourselves, but to help the next person along the way. So I am thrilled, honored, and grateful to you, Ms. Annie Gibbins, for leading the way. Memoirs of Successful. We're Successful Tribe because of each other. So thank you for pouring into me. And I am so excited to share a little bit about, me and just, my cause and my love for empowering people around the world.
What a joy. You just knocked the nail on the head there when you're talking about, collaboratively, working together and to be able to share not only our voice, but so that other people can receive that message and then use their voice as well, right? Yes. It's all about just, having women who are leading by example on the things that we're doing and the things that we're sharing about, and then actually giving hope and inspiration to other women going, you know what, you can do your part here. We're just all a cog in the wheel. We're all just doing our little bit. So I know that you are going to be so inspirational with what you share today. So I also know that your parents instilled a deep sense of pride and appreciation of their Sierra Leone heritage. What has that meant for you as a woman who, I know you spent, most of your life in the US. What does that actually mean for you to then sort of grow up in a family who says, hey, don't forget, your heritage in Sierra Leone?
Well, it means a lot. So much so, I believe that it's like a part of me now. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., to parents who migrated here in the 70s and had all five of us here in the States. So we were, raised in D.C. We went to the public schools. So we were ingrained in the American culture, but it's almost like we have we're in two worlds. And so one thing that I sometimes I look back, when I was younger, I didn't understand, why can't you just speak English all the time? Why do you always have to speak your language? Why do we have to wear this African outfits? Why do you have to thread? It was just the American in us versus the African in us. And so gratefully and fortunately, as I got older, it became more of a gift than a curse. And so that's why, I use I guess when you see the light, you don't want to go back. You just want to continue to, for me, embrace that culture, show the beauty of it. And I feel like I'm making up time because I know I was one of those shy girls, didn't want to be, seen, didn't want to speak, didn't feel like I had anything to say. I had a little bit of an accent growing up, and, over time through different experiences, I just learned that this is a beautiful gift, And so I do thank my mom. My dad has passed, and that's another reason of my love for Africa. And what he put in us. But one thing that he would always remind us is that, Africa is really your home. I didn't understand it growing up. And I'm like, I
Mm.
don't know if you don't understand the process, but I was born here. And at some point, I even tried to change my name just to be
Wow.
cool. Uh, I was Dominique for a little bit. I was Maria for a little bit. I went through phases of just trying to be as cool as possible. But
Yeah.
eventually, your destiny and your purpose will meet you. It will find you, and you will have to face that. This is where God is leading me to. So I get the privilege and the honor of using that story of how much I disliked my culture and disliked my dark skin and just being different, and just that whole being different. I now use it as a blessing. And I
Yeah.
know that that's why I can't be silent, because there's another, you know, I guess what you saw, first generation born, that is in the same situation. And one thing I realized is that you either love your culture. If you're like me, you're born in America, to people who are from another country, you either love your culture or you don't. It's
Mm.
always that kind of like, I want to be accepted versus, and I think maturity sets in and exposure, plays a part. But for me, that's why I don't shut up about the beauty and the culture, and just how much it is a part of me, in
Mm.
everything that I do. So I hope that other, as I say, descendants of the diaspora like me will say, you know what? And we have a power, because we're here. We have doors that are open for us that may not be open for our, families back home. So,
Yeah.
that whole mindset of, I can give back because I do have more. We're not, filthy rich, but we do have more than the average
Yeah.
in some of our third world countries. So I feel it is absolutely a blessing each day. And I feel like, okay, what's today? Like, what am I going to do today? And the one word that I always use is inspire. If I
Mm.
can't inspire, with whoever you are, if I can't be an inspiration, a light, someone who can at least leave some kind of a positive impact, whether it be momentarily or lifetime, I feel like I haven't lived to the fullest. And I think this 2 years that we've had has shown us that you have to, life is short, and you
Yeah.
have to live life as if it's your last. And so I think that that's one of the joys. But I absolutely feel like it's a playground sometimes. I do have a 9 to 5 job, that pays the bills. But when I get to do the work that we are doing in terms of inspiration, development, working with the young girls, I always say that my mom, never traveled to the US, I would be an African girl. So I always put myself in them, and I always look at them in the eyes and say, you are a beautiful young lady. You are a beautiful creation. And it gives me warmth when they look at me like, wow, So
Yeah.
it's what they put in me. I didn't realize it until I got older, that it was priceless,
It is
priceless.
so priceless, so
Yeah.
priceless. Well, you're certainly one beautiful woman, and I know what you've shared there is a struggle by so many, every sort of family that you're living in where you've had immigrants. I
Mhm.
definitely noticed that. My mum came out to Australia from France actually when she was 12, and she had that same story of she wanted to lose her accent as soon as possible. She didn't want
Yes.
to be the French girl, which now would be very popular with that
Wow.
beautiful
Yes.
accent. And it's all determined by society, right? And it's actually
Yes.
for us to be change agents to say, well, that's how society might have thought that people who don't fit in have to assimilate. Whereas actually we know that the people who are successful often have their own way of doing things. It's the unique that brings out the beauty and the
Unique
change
value. The
and the
unique value.
value.
Yes.
But that's so hard when you're a child in those, and kids can be
Mhm.
harsh. Kids can
Yeah.
make it really difficult for you. So that view of trying to just, that's right, hide. I love it. You do not look like a Monique
Yes.
or
Yes.
Maria.
I,
Maria. No, you
Maria
definitely
and Dominique, and there were some other names down the
Dominique,
road. But
oh my goodness, Adama suits you because it is who you are, and I think that's what we all share on this type of podcast is that it's bringing out your authenticity and
yes,
actually going on that journey. And the journey isn't an overnight journey, as I know in your story, it's actually been as you've matured and evolved, realizing the value
yes,
of heritage, and also the appreciation or the gratitude of,
Yes.
affluence that we have when we're living in a Western country, that,
Right.
countries particularly like Sierra Leone, which would have to be one of the poorest countries in the world,
Yes.
you don't have to be rich in a Western standard to be able to add incredible value.
Exactly.
And I've been looking on your website, and it's almost like you can just give a few dollars just for umbrellas or school
Yes.
books or resources. Like, it's just so easy to be a
Yes.
blessing.
Yes.
It doesn't cost thousands of dollars to actually be able to make a difference in your
Exactly.
life. So,
Exactly.
what an absolute joy. So I know you do have a day job, and you've also been, you've been in the US Air Force. You were honorably serving there for 4 years. You were
Yes.
definitely wanting to sort of then get some revelations of how you can actually add value sort of on the side. What are you doing in your day job now? And then how does that then allow you time to still be able to do the work that you're doing in your projects?
Yeah, so Adama just takes her sunshine with her. And so that's one of the things that I enjoy. When you enjoy life, you can't just stop it from, place to place. I actually work with the National Guard Bureau as a business analyst. And so we kind of, totally opposite from the, serving humanity. But we do serve, our military personnel and help them with their functions and just try to make sure that they are able to communicate what they need to communicate in an efficient manner, and we keep things in order. So it's a lot of, working with senior military personnel. And, with that comes with that respect. And I would say that it actually helps me keep my communication flow, lots of networking. Being able to communicate with people at all levels is definitely a gift, because it helps you loosen up. Because sometimes, I know growing up, I thought, okay, I can only communicate with certain people because I'm comfortable. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to go to the next level. And so that's what I do during the day. So it actually is a lot of program management, technical writing, and, so it's good experience because it kind of interplays with, how I try to keep organized with, the writing and the different technical things that we have to do with Impact Sierra Leone. So
Yeah.
they kind of, they feed into each other. But
Exactly. And that's what it is. It's getting the right blend, right? And I think a
yes,
lot of people are listening in think, oh, it's just to make an impact, you actually have to do something full time or as your main gig. Well, often no, because one, you just don't have the resources. It's not a financial business plan at this
yeah,
time, or it's not right for where you are. I know you're raising still a very young family.
yeah,
And so it's not always the way. In fact, sometimes, and I've had that on my career journey, that it's actually easier to stay in the main job of where you are, that you can then be, well supported, and then it requires that extra effort to actually
right,
do this. We call it a side hustle in business, but definitely when you're doing something for purpose, it actually is just your opportunity for a passion project, which is more
yes,
what I would describe yours. So it's a salute to you to be able to give your time and energy to that,
yes,
but also to see how you can weave those opportunities. Often, if you can get the balance right, you can use those opportunities. I know how you have to actually go, what, through the the armed forces, I know you worked as a volunteer through AmeriCorps and things like that. So you can
yes,
suddenly go, okay, because I'm in an area, I can now go and springboard off opportunities that will help my side purpose,
yeah.
which is to impact Sierra Leone.
I would say that was one of my best journeys. So I was fresh out of um, the military, and then I just finished up college. And it was then that, as people were going to the different internships and, paid jobs, I always knew that I was just from an early age, I was always the helper, like whether it be church or I'm very family oriented. So, if there was something that maybe an event or something, they knew, okay, well, just tell Adama and she'll take care of it. And I did event planning. So I feel like I've had all these different ingredients. And at some point I thought that was like my job, my focus, and then they kind of just come back. So they're coming
Yeah.
back into the organization. But AmeriCorps, I feel like, while I thought it was just, oh man, it wasn't, it was a stipend and for transportation, but then they also help pay for, some of my schooling. But in an overview, it was really a gift to me learning how to serve,
Yeah.
because I did two rounds. The first I'm sorry, it wasn't 4 years. It was 2 years, but then I was hired by the organization. So I started out as a volunteer coordinator. So I coordinated all it was through a church. So I helped organize all the different members of the church for a third Saturday of the month volunteer exercise. And I was calling the shelters, calling the soup kitchens, the schools, and organizing volunteers to go and serve 2 hours on a third Saturday. And, at first I thought, oh man, all my peers are just, exceeding. But it really turned out to be a gift, because it really allowed me, again, working with, different levels of leadership,
Yeah.
and communicating, my I would say my mentor at the time, she was leading the organization. It was called Hope Worldwide. They really did spread hope. And through that, I was hired to be the volunteer director. And then I stayed on additional years. So it helped me learn how to gather people to serve with purpose, and to really see the people that you're serving and actually just see their faces as they're being impacted. And that's when the light went off. Like, I think this is a part of my, I was still trying to figure out my journey, because again, I had started event planning. I started doing floral arrangements, decorations. I did several different, I guess I'm always been a creative,
Yeah.
creative bee. As you can see, my floral arrangements, I'm still making flowers. It's therapeutic. But, as and a wedding coordinator. Yes. So, so everyone knew I was, into, but, being a young single mom, not single mom, I was married, but, juggling family. And then, I just, decided it wasn't a good fit. However, they were still in me. So I'm looking forward to teaching some of our women and children back home some of the creative arts. But anyway, that experience with AmeriCorps, we did a lot of traveling to see other AmeriCorps fellows. I really got to learn how to see people speak passionately about what they were doing. And I learned the value. I mean, I learned really what passion was. Passion really is believing in something so much, it becomes a part of you. And it's like, you don't need a speech to talk about it, because it's in the heart. And I would find myself, and one of the other things that happened is that I got a Thurgood Marshall scholarship, and it led to like somewhat of a training class where we did a Gallup, so we learned about our strengths. We did all these different supplemental things that came along with that, and I really believe that was probably one of the best experiences, and just being able to be comfortable in who you are, but always looking to grow. Like, professional growth became the key word. Like, always be looking to every single day of your life, make sure there's an improvement. I don't care if it's rolling up the socks in the corner. Don't go to bed without doing something that makes your life better. So today, tomorrow will be better than yesterday. And so that's that kind of positive mindset. As I said, mindset is everything. When you start feeding yourself those different things, it becomes a part of your daily, success. So that was, I believe, the seeds being planted in me, and in how to just try to make things better, impact, use my voice, and, be positive. That whole energy came from that Thurgood Marshall, AmeriCorps. Then I was a volunteer director at my school. So I believe that's where I think it was born.
Yeah. And I love the way our journeys evolve. And in essence, it's you're using all of those little parts that even when you were wedding planning or event planning, that's actually all these sort of generic skills that you're picking up: the confidence, the coordination, the networking, the making things happen. If you can run a soup kitchen or work in shelters and schools in the DC area, you can certainly do that in a village somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? They're all building blocks, if you like, while how that true purpose is actually evolving into with clarity, right? So then through those experiences, and also, you know, we're often at those stages of life, you know, when you're having kids and you know, the whole world sort of it's all spinning so fast, and there's sort of
Yes.
not, you feel like there's not as much time to sort of go, okay, well, what about
Yes.
who do I want to be, and what sort of legacy will I leave,
Yes.
and all those things that often come as you then sort of get older and grow more into yourself. And all of these have now led you to be able to be such a driving force. So tell me and the listeners a little bit about what you do with your projects now with Impact Sierra Leone, and what it means to you to be, you know, I see your total sole purpose is to empower women to be change agents in this country and to believe in their worth, and then also to be able to support the foundations through education and resources so that future generations will be able to rise. That's what I got from your website. So hopefully I've felt that. Is that what
Yes.
your purpose is?
Yes, you captured it. So I want to start the one nucleus that led to my purpose. Actually, my father, James Iconte, who loved Africa, he would always talk about it. He would always describe it. He would always, you know, just kind of put it a part of the conversation, that, you know, there's no place like home. And, you know, it was something that ingrained in us. And my mom as well, you know, there were different moments they would just say, wow, this reminds me of the trees in my grandfather's garden. So we grew up with these, you know, very colorful stories about the roots and culture and growing up. And so that kind of, you know, stayed with me. And so in 2007, unfortunately, he passed away. And so that kind of, you know, stunned me like, whoa, this wasn't supposed to happen. I'm only 18 years old and I need my dad, you know. And it took a while. And I was my first year in the military. So I was literally, you know, just kind of like confused. But over time and through different support systems, you know, I learned that I had to either, you know, take this in and, you know, process it, but I needed to find a way to still go forward and become that Adama that God destined me to be. And so I turned that tragedy into a triumph. And myself, as well as all my siblings, we decided it was time to visit and go to Africa. And so in 2003, December, after a canceled trip and after a very last minute United Airlines one seat open, I was aboard a flight to Sierra Leone, West Africa, and I reached there December, I believe it was December 14th or something, 2003. And that trip actually is where I believe this whole purpose of me wanting to serve people, it became evident that it was to do something in Sierra Leone. Now I know that I'm focusing on Sierra Leone, but we will, you know, we look towards expanding and, you know, partnering so that we can impact communities here. We have done some projects here, but that whole first trip to December 2003, that was the nucleus, that was the beginning, because I came back and I was a different person. I've never met any of my grandparents alive. So I purposely asked my family, please take me to all of their grave sites. We prayed and I said, your granddaughter is here. And so I met family members who knew my dad. And so, you know, just going to school, going to my mom's school. So all those experiences, you know, and I can say when I came back, I said, I'm so full of purpose. I don't know what to do. And, you know, it took some time. I joined a lot of organizations that was doing things in Sierra Leone. My sisters and I, we were here, we were there, we were helping. We were like, anything, we just want to help Sierra Leone, but I don't feel like we were being used. And a lot of people were like, you need to start your own foundation. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not getting into that. I'm not going to fail on that. You know, that's a big deal. You have to cross your T's and dot your I's. And, you know, that fear factor at some point, you know, and it's something that, you know, we've learned in our global leadership is that once you face fear and you realize, you know, either I go over you or you over me. So who's going to be taken? And I decided, you know what, maybe I can get advice and talk to people who've done it and maybe. but I think it's the best decision I made. And so with my sister's help, we sat down and we did the paperwork. And, when you have that determination, it's frustrating at first because you have
Yeah.
to pull this, you have to go here, you have to gather this. And, but when you know that at the end of the day, you'll be able to do so much more. For us, that was what Impact Sierra Leone meant. It meant that this was our honor to our dad. He is going to be honored. His name will not be in vain. My mom will be honored because we're giving back. And it's not just one area in Sierra Leone. We started out with another school. We started out with the orphanage of young girls, and each experience, I believe, brought us knowledge on how to work with people. Being that you're here in the U.S., it's a lot of communication, a lot of making sure that everything is being done accordingly, so that you can stay functional. But I would say through it all, it's been probably the thing that has kept me. Even when we went through the pandemic, what the work that we did, I feel like it was my survival, because as a event planner, what was I doing? We were planning, empowerment parties. We were planning, meetings, you name it. And so communication that I was learning from all those entities, the military and Thurgood Marshall, they all came back. Mentorship, I realized I love pouring into other women. Just like what you're doing, just the honor to be able to pour into another person. A lot of people poured into me. So I felt like this Impact Sierra Leone was my baby. And, having it and doing it with my sisters, for me, I feel like it's therapy. In a weird way. So, our current projects, we've kind of evolved, and we actually been focusing on one community, and it's in rural parts of Sierra Leone, which is like a remote area where not many people go. And so that was actually my dream, was to work with a community that was not getting a lot of support or not getting any assistance. And so through the connection with a relative, we were connected with this farming community. Their literacy rate is super high. The school is in very poor condition. But I feel like when I went there, they clapped, they sang, they embraced. When I was, they were, we didn't speak the same language, but I was introduced as Dr. Adama Kalokoh, who wants to help this village. And just them receiving me, then we ate, we broke bread together, and they let me know, we welcome you here. And some of them were crying because no one had ever come to bring assistance. And so I said, for now we are here and we're going to do what we can. I can't promise you guys anything, but I will be your voice. I will make sure that, people know about you. We're going to tell your story because it's all about the story, and letting people know that there's this young woman, Aminata, who has 2 kids, but she loves to braid hair. And you pour into her and you'll be surprised what she can give back. And so that was where the whole feeling about when you empower the minds, the people who you may think who have nothing to offer, you will wake them up, something in them. And so this past December, we had our first holiday party there. We celebrated. Over 400 people came. We didn't have much, but we said, okay, let everyone eat. And we gave each child school supplies. We had a piñata. We just wanted them. We had bubbles. We just wanted them to enjoy the moment and feel worthy. And that whole United States, we all have a value. And from there, they said, we welcome Impact Sierra Leone. So we actually immediately started a farming group. So we have 4 farm sites there. So, we kind of went from working with orphans and now we're doing agriculture to help them. And so we started a farm with the kids. So I feel like every day it's a beautiful journey. Even when you have the twists and turns and some of the challenges that come in between, I really do feel like I get to play, whenever I tell the story. And, it's a language, even though it's a language barrier sometimes, they accept some of my messed up Creole and Hindi language. But I have a good team on the ground, which is a blessing. Teamwork makes the dream work. So stand strong because I have some trustworthy people on the ground that try to help make sure that they can be the connector, because I cannot do it all the way from the US successfully without a tribe, like a tribe, you know.
Yes, exactly.
And the chiefs, and I told them, if you guys work with us, we will do our best to bring honor to this village. And now they say, you know, people used to look down in the village. Now everyone is looking to their village and is saying, wow, look at Foindu. And it just makes me honored that at least I can do something like that. And that's what I feel like is a transformation. When I can leave that community and go to another community and they're able to do the same work and do it well, with honor and respect. So they take pride in me because I'm not born there. They heard the story of my father and my mom, and for them, every time when they hear, they clap, because they said it's not normal for American kids to come to Africa and do that. It's not an everyday thing. So I always feel like, yes, I'm honored just as much as you guys are honored. It is a complete honor. So every time, sometimes I get on, I feel like, okay, what song am I going to sing today? You know, and I say, you know, if you're not inspiring, if you don't stay positive, you won't last. You know, if you look at all the little things that are not going right, you will not last. And it allows me to work with my siblings, because again, once you lose a family member, it really does create like that gap, and you kind of feel like, what do we do now? And we also actually had another death in the family, 2020. We lost our younger brother. I always say, wherever I go, I'm taking him with me. So wherever you are, Musa George Conte, your sister is still standing for you. And he didn't get to reach his potential, but I also try to pour into the young boys on his behalf. So I'm like, I said, that library is going to be in his name. I don't even know where the library is. I just know that he's going to have a library. And so that's the piece. And I tell people, don't look at your tragedy as the end. Look at it as somehow the beginning of something and a way that you're going to give back. So I said a lot.
Oh my gosh, you are blowing my mind. And for those listening in and watching, this is a definition of an empowered woman, a successful woman, a woman who just has allowed her purpose to evolve and clarify, and is now an unstoppable force. That's what I see in you, Adama. You're an unstoppable force. And because you're so creative, that's it. And you call it like, I've got so much to play with. You actually do, because, you know, when you actually open your eyes up to see what is possible in the world, it's unlimited. You know, it really is unlimited. The only frustration is I can't do enough because I don't have enough hours in the day. But with money and support and resources, oh my gosh, you can blow the world apart in what actually can be achieved. And here I'm hearing what a woman, you know, in the opposite sides of the world is able to do when she already has a day job. You know, you're seriously inspirational. I love a few things that you said there, you know, of how people perceive things. You know, these people have value, they have a voice, they have honor, they have respect, but they don't feel it when other people look on them as poor and underprivileged and of lack. And when you live and breathe that, you end up thinking, well, I am not good enough. I'm not of value. I cannot contribute, which is just so wrong, right? And so you are actually, the biggest blessing is that you're actually giving them a fresh mindset that, oh my goodness, I can braid hair. I can create a business. I can have a sustainable future for my village. And I love what you're doing there, that you're actually showing them their worth is already there. They just need to know it and be able to accept assistance and help and work with them. I also love what you've done with the collaborative, that you've brought in other people to team up. And because none of us are our own solo entity, you know, it's not about us, it's the work that we do. And so I think that is just so incredible. And also the view that you're wanting them to have a sustainable future so that you can go off and replicate this model in other villages. You don't want to just make one shine and other next door is in lack. You want to be able to say, okay, we're developing a model that works here. We can now leave you to sustain that and have us as an anchor,
Yes,
so that you won't fail, but we can also move on and to create more value around the world.
exactly.
Absolutely incredible story, and yeah, all honor to you and what you've been able to achieve. And what was it like when you actually went on that plane for the first time? And so you grow up as a child listening to your parents who love Sierra Leone. You know that you've got this African sense in your soul, in your being, but you've hid it back. You arrived there with such excitement, and I love the way you just fully embraced it. But it
Yeah,
must have felt so weird that, physically you look like you could have been, born there, belong there. And it
yeah.
must have just been such a mind-blowing experience to suddenly almost like put the full, you've talked a couple of times about becoming a Dharma or being a Dharma. It actually is finding your true sense of self, which is
Yes,
a woman of the world now, right? So,
right. Women of the globe.
yeah.
I will never forget that experience. I will say that it was something that I was anticipating because my two sisters, my elder sister and my younger sister, had already traveled before me. So my elder sister Fatimata, she traveled 1999. She was the only one that was able to meet my grandmother, who I'm named after,
Oh,
alive. And at that time I was in the military, so I wasn't able to get the time off. And then fast forward to August 2003, my sister below me, Yebu Kante, she traveled. And so at the time when she traveled, again, it could not work out with my schedule. And so there I was, like, okay, I need to go. So I had planned maybe for like 2 months. At the time, I was still with AmeriCorps, so that's all my AmeriCorps team heard. It was a small group of us, and they were so excited. I mean, they were like, "Okay, so what about this and what about that?" And my supervisor would give me time to go and shop and just try to get things ready. So I was ready. Of course, I had explained that I maybe like a few days, a few days before travel, the flight. It was a special flight that I decided to take, was on the news, the flight ahead. And they were like, if you're traveling on this flight, please go and get your money because it's, and my roommates are like, oh my gosh, is this your flight? So, I'm like devastated, like looking at my boxes all packed, few days leaving. But anyway, long story short, is through prayer and lots of people saying, you are going,
do it. Do
And
it, do
so
it,
I
do it.
was sitting on that plane. I couldn't believe it. I was just thinking, is this a dream? You know, but so I determined myself to make sure I take it all in. So I took my journal because I wanted to write about the feeling of me being in the clouds, because that was my first international trip. So it was a
Wow.
long voyage. And as I was there, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the motherland, Lion King,
Yeah.
everything that I
Returning
thought was
home.
Africa. I felt like this was it, and so, as we're going through, and then we're finally, we left in December, so it was freezing cold here. So I'm, bundled up. But then by the time, I went through Brussels, Belgium, that was a transfer flight, waiting 5 hours there. I'm still writing in my journal, just thinking, just thoughts, like, oh my God, this is it. So they had actually, what was good is that I guess they had heard about me through my sister traveling in August. And I think, there were some things that happened that was not as great as her trip. So they were trying to really prepare for
Yeah.
me, which was a gift. Because when I landed, I got off the plane, again, the heat just hit me like, welcome.
Wow.
And I got a little emotional because I knew that, my dad always used to say, before you leave this earth, you have to go home. And I just felt like, okay, Daddy, I'm here. I've reached home.
Oh,
And it kind of was like one of those moments like, oh man, I wish he was here, to see his daughter here on the soil. And so we're walking through, I'm just taking it all in, like, okay, what to expect, because, I heard that you have to kind of, take care of your belongings and things can move fast. But luckily they had someone inside with a big sign that says, welcome Adama Kalokoh at the time from USA. And I'm like, I think that's me. Because, Adama is
you're a
very
special
common.
guest.
And I'm like, I think, and then when they looked, the guy said, you. So I said, yes. And he helped me with my thing to help me get the security. And once I got the security, there's a place at that time. Now the family can't come. No one can come into the airport. But at that time, there was an area where you could see the family. And all I see is, the people screaming, Yandama, because my grandmother, when you're an elder, they put Ya in front of you. So instead of Adama, you become Yandama. So they were like, Yandama. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of them. And my mom is the eldest of 14. So at least 6 or 7 of them were there. And they started clapping like it was like a graduation. And I'm like, ah. But it was a warm embrace. It was a warm feeling. They were crying. I was crying. And, it was just kind of like, wow, our daughter, as they don't say my niece, our daughter is here. And it was such a blessing, because, they, I remember the pictures and my mom, showed me and, so it was just, I felt like, wow, this is really home. And, again, of course, I had that at that time, I was sweating out of my little sweatsuit that I brought from the US. And I was like, okay, water. I need some water. And they brought some food, because they, wanted to make sure, as soon as I come, they had fresh, somebody gave me like a fresh fruit. And I mean, they were just so excited, they didn't know what to do. Yeah. So needless to say, it was one of the most memorable times of me just entering into Sierra Leone. And I mean, I would have definitely other memorable moments. Again, as I said, I visited each and every one of my grandparents and all of the people relatives that were still in the village. Each of them would tell me stories. I knew your grandmother. She was so sweet. She used to roast peanuts right here every morning. And then your grandfather had a coffee tree. So it was like a tour of history. Yeah. And that was, I believe that journey to my roots, it was truly a journey. And each person, I would say, they could not give me riches. They didn't have gold to give me, but they gave me what they could in Sierra Leone and some parts of West Africa. As a guest arrives, when you get like a chicken, because it's a really big deal, that means, okay, this is a gift. So I had a lot of chickens that were given, and they were like, give it to me as a gift. One of my aunts, she roasted these fresh peanuts for me. And just different people were just doing what they can to show how much appreciated that. And most of them was that for you to come all the way here to find us here, we give honor to your parents. And when they set me and they gave, each of them blessed my head. And they blessed me with the water, and they said, you will do great in life, So for me, it was like that in itself was a gift, being able to do that. And so I vowed, at that time, Impact Sierra Leone was not born, but I knew I can't go back the same. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even have it all figured out, but I know that as I go back, my cause has become a cause for Sierra Leone. I have become officially a voice for Sierra Leone. And I knew the needs, you see the needs, you see that there's a lack of basic needs and food and, clothing. And so when I came back, immediately my friends were like, I took pictures of everything. I took pictures of the trees. I took pictures of the coconut. I took pictures of everything. And when I came back, that was my social media posts. Every day I was telling the story. And I was like, this is my grandmother who I'm named after. We're standing over her grave and praying over her. And we have been welcomed by her spirit into the soil. And, and everyone, American, African, different nationality, they were amazed. And that's how I started this thing called Chronicles of the Diaspora Queen. And I said, one of the things I need to do is I have to open my mouth and I need to tell the stories. And the people don't assume this is what it is. I'm going to let people know that this is when I went to the beach, we had, we spent New Year's and we enjoyed ourselves. And, so that was my introduction to social media, Instagram, on Facebook. That's all I did. I just put pictures and I told stories. And it was a joy.
Which is where other people can then join that journey and feel they relate, because that's right. You had the heat, but you also had the smell and the environment and the sounds, and you've seriously been
music, lots of music every day,
and you've been seriously sucked into the bosom of Sierra Leone, by all your relatives and the love of that. And then to be able to have impact, it's about you then being able to get clarity around what that means and what you can actually do. But it's also, that's right, about how you can bring other people if it interests them, if it sparks interest or joy to them, that they can then be part of that journey.
Right.
So let's move on to, then you're also writing in A Woman's Guide to Business Domination.
Yes.
Tell me about the chapter that you are writing and why you think it's important to get that message out to people of the world.
Yeah, so I love my chapter, creating a unique value proposition. At first I was like, okay, which angle do I want to take? So many angles, but I've always been told I am a unique person, and sometimes you can kind of like, okay, so that could be any way, but I always feel like deep down inside there's been always something unique that has allowed me to go through the different journeys I've gone through. And it is a blessing to know that, first of all, we're all created differently, but we all have a gift. Everyone has a gift. I've seen some of the most troublesome people draw the most brilliant design, and so I said, everybody has a gift. You just have to discover that gift and hone in on it. And so, for me, it's like that whole book chapter opened my eyes to one of my favorite sayings, and I use and reference one of my favorite movies, Lion King. Remember who you are. If you don't know who you are, you don't know what's in you. No one else will know what is in you. No one will appreciate your value. We are all valuable, no matter who you are on the spectrum, disability or non-disability. There's something valuable that is put in each of us. And one of my favorite sayings is, greater is coming. Greatness is in me. And that's something that I always try to pour on. I put on posters when I'm working with the children, is that, there's power in words. If you say it enough, you will feel it and you will know I am valuable. I am valuable in this whole big world. I can contribute and give something back. Even if I'm in Sierra Leone, I can do something and add value to the world. Whether it be in my village, in the city, inside of the president's home, I can be a value because my mind says so. And if my mind is determined, that will come to light. And so I always love that part in the movie where he's trying to pour into Simba that, you have to remember that you are a king. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Do you know who you are? You are the king of the jungle. Stop running. Don't run away, but embrace who you are. Nurture it, allow it to grow, allow it to become you. And that's something that I put myself, because again, I grew up as a very, I would say, introvert, super smart, but, would be the farthest from this environment. I would be in the back. I would always be helping, but not to be seen. I was insecure. I was shy. I didn't feel like I really had much to say, so I wasn't going to talk. And I believe God he just threw me into situations where I had no choice. In college, I had to take a public health course, and I had tried to escape it for the longest time, but it was a required course and I couldn't get away from it. And, I believe that, everybody comes to your life and pours in different things. But I remember that teacher, because I felt that he saw that you think you're just going to get out of this and just kind of, get your C and just be happy. And he pulled it out. He said, that's why pull out the I will in your life. There's something that you can relate to that will allow you to be successful. And I learned the value of embracing my voice, that my voice has power. My voice matters, whether or not I am at the forefront or the back. What I have to say matters. And I have to be able to speak. Not for myself, but because there's someone else that needs to hear my voice. Exactly. And so if I stay silent, who may not benefit from that? Who's going to benefit from that? And so just that whole unique value has just taught me that we all have to have that confidence builder. And for me, I think social media, you can use social media for your good, for power. You don't have to always use social media to, go downhill. As you can see, it has a lot of influence. I remember that, I had some dark periods around 2019, and I was just going through some changes. I had lost my job, but I had started, I went on to LinkedIn because I was so encouraged by different people. You need a LinkedIn account. And I said, I don't do LinkedIn. I just do Facebook. And, okay, you need to grow. You can't stay I had someone tell me something is in you. And I said, no, something is in you and you need to pull it out. Because what I see is not just this person. I see you going here. So when someone says that, you start thinking, well,
Wow.
gosh, maybe
There's more.
there's more to what I'm doing. And believe it or not, I just, as you say, take it step by step. I just started sprucing up my appearance and just feeling like I feel good. I'm like, I'm going to be valuable. I have to look valuable. I have to feel valuable. And I said, okay, I need to learn to love my voice. I need to be able to embrace and say something. And so I said, okay, I can motivate people. I can use a quote. So I just started, taking a quote and just doing these happy new months every month. And I did it with a smile. And it just, a lot of people started connecting and say, I love this inspiration. You made my day. And that's not money, but to me, it was a value to me because I felt, oh, wow, I didn't know I had that influence. It said, pull out the I willing alive. You don't know what is inside of you until you tap into it. And I said, wow, I'm designed for this. I'm designed to inspire people, and so I got over that fear and I learned to listen to other people and get comfortable in my own space, my own skin. And I learned that there is a beauty inside of me that is so strong and so powerful. I must not be silent. And that opened the door. I had so many people that I didn't even know at the time they were my mentors. They just said, I like what I see, and I would suggest you do this. And I just soaked it up as a sponge. And then from then it just led on to, me connecting the dots to what I was doing to Sierra Leone. And so this chapter, I just feel like it just brought me back to when I thought I was at a low point, but I was really at my highest because something was happening, something was churning. And I believe that was when I fully developed into an empowered woman. I learned that there was value in words. I had to speak to my mind every day, like, you are a powerful force. And as I began to say that in videos, people were like, I really love to watch you. And so I just tell people, discover things about yourself every day. Don't just, this is not it. It's never it. It's always a room for improvement, whether it be just learning from different people, pouring into each other, but also, being a mentor. And then that opened the door to me being connected to an orphanage. And then that's when I became their voice. And that, I believe, was another training ground, another level of just speaking, of using those design skills and always trying to make posters. And I did go to school for public health. I don't even know if I mentioned that. So I have a passion for health education. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to, to meet the need of not have those language barriers and the illiteracy, I'm going to make health posters, and empowerment posters. And I made one, especially for the young girls. I am bold, brilliant, and brave. And I made it and laminated, and that was part of their empowerment gifts because I wanted them to see that, and they had their name. And I am empowered to inspire was my tag because we're empowered to do something. And that was my tagline on everything. And that became my favorite thing to do. Sometimes I would randomly send people messages. You are very inspirational. You are a powerful person. And I'm like, I tell people, don't always expect anything back. Sometimes just send a random act of kindness. And through that, I was led and I was chosen to become a global goodwill ambassador. And that opened the door to me learning about how to really bring in the sustainable development goals in every single thing you do. If it can't be sustainable, it's good to, donate water, but wouldn't it be great to help them to learn how to, pull water from a well and just, make water so they have it tomorrow? It's good to donate food, but wouldn't it be good to help them with a rice farm so that they can be able to grow rice and grow fruits and vegetables and, learn. And if they can't read, pour back into them, do it bit by bit, but come to them where they are. So, so that in a nutshell, the unique value book chapter, it just really helped me as I was writing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone was created for something good.
Well, let
Yeah.
me tell you, Adama, and those listening into this conversation, I've already read the chapter because it's already just at the publisher as we speak. And I tell you what, it's just powerful. It is a message that you need to hear. Every single chapter in this book is just so powerful.
Yes.
But what I love is just that acknowledgement that, you know, that's right, you are powerful, that you know, you don't want to be the world's best kept secret, right? And this is a masterclass really on how important it is not to play small. You know, we
Yeah.
play small, you become the shy child, you
Yeah.
hide, you don't speak up your voice, you don't apply for things because you think it'll make you feel more comfortable, or you think you
Right.
don't have something
Stay
to offer,
comfortable.
or you actually think other people will think you think you're too great for yourself, or have an issue with that. I know I grew up with one grandma who kept saying, never have pride, never be proud, it will
Yeah.
be the death of you, you know, things
Oh,
like
wow.
that. And it's like such a blanket statement that makes you
Mhm.
fear the
Mhm.
empowerment. Whereas actually, in none of our conversation today has it been about you then becoming selfish. It
Yeah.
means that you are totally fulfilled and able to do
Yeah.
so much good, right? So it's about believing in your worth,
Yeah.
finding that unique value, which you are
Right.
going to love buying this book and reading
Yes.
this chapter, because it's going to give you a real awakening of,
Yes.
you know, the journey that is to become. And then when you have got that sense of
Mhm.
true self-actualization or belief or power that I am here for a purpose and I
Mhm.
have value and I have a voice and I can make a difference and an impact. I don't
Mhm.
have to do that to everybody in the world, but for
Yeah.
where I'm positioning, I'm going to go all guns blazing. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, your world
Yes.
changes, and it's a ripple effect around
Yes.
everybody that you touch, and it is seriously a beautiful thing. And I love
Yeah.
that message that you're giving to the girls in Sierra Leone, you know, just to be bold and to be beautiful and to be brave. And I probably another B word that I missed there, but that's exactly what they need to do, and that's what we all
Yes.
need to do, to actually believe that we were born for a purpose. And it's
Yes.
actually disrespectful to God or whoever you believe in
Yeah.
to actually say, I'm not going to honor that. If you're born on this
Exactly.
planet, then be the best version of you. And I think today's conversation, oh my goodness, we're nearly at the hour. It's just been so enjoyable. I can talk all day with you,
Mhm.
uh, but it's been an example of just becoming who
Yeah.
you are.
Mhm.
Everyone is in a journey of becoming. My biography is Becoming Annie. You are
Yes.
definitely becoming or have become Adama. And it
Yes.
is that message of we are all becoming our best self. And
Yes.
and in that journey, I think today's conversation has deeply shown that all those stepping stones, as long as you're leaning into that empowered future, leaning into that version of you that you were born to be, that you're still fine tuning and becoming, I
Yeah.
tell you what, it's amazing, and the planet will be blessed when
Yes.
more people are focusing on who they can be to give and
Mhm.
add value, and
Mhm.
to take people on that journey, than to those who just sit back and just wait or criticize or hide in the shadows. So thank you so much for being on my
Yeah.
program today. For those of you who want to reach out, which I know you will, to Dr. Adama Kalokoh, definitely go and visit her website, which is impactsierraleone.org. You will find the works, the projects she's doing. You'll find ways that you can donate. You can be part of her incredible works. She's a facilitator. She's a vessel in making things happen to change people's lives. You can do that from anywhere in the world. So definitely reach out to impactsierraleone.org. I'm sure Adama will personally welcome you in and respond to
Absolutely.
you. You know, if you just go and say, can I do something? Can I do anything? Can I add value somehow? I am
You want to
sure
write a letter?
find a way for you to add value. And yeah, it's been an honor to interview you today. And yeah, thank you for being the blessing to the world that you are.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Annie.